Yes, awesome demo. So CSS is another area of really exciting developments for HTML5 applications. With the CSS3 spec, we now have access to some amazingly powerful capabilities. And I want to go with you through a few of them. First, everyone likes nice visuals and nice visual effects. And on this slide, we'll do just that. We built a nice application. You all liked it. Now we're going to build a nice logo for it. We want to look good. We need a nice font. We need some nice color. We need some nice shadow. Let's do it. We're going to do it with HTML5. No Photoshop, no fancy graphics package, HTML5, baby. At the top, we have 5 fonts to choose from. This morning, Google announced that we now have a web font API and the web font directory. We just picked 5 fonts from there. So you can see here, I can select the font I want. You know, all kinds of stuff here. OK, let's settle on this one. I can play with the color. I can play with the background color. I can add some reflection. I can add some shadow, some nice looking shadowy font. And of course, every sleek and cool looking logo has to have rounded corners, right? Rounded corners has been called the holy grail of CSS. And before CSS3, you had to go through countless hacks to achieve this effect. Now, we'll do it with 1 line of code. There we go. So here we go. You know, our nice, thank you. Our nice chroma brush logo in 30 seconds or less. One thing I want to mention, you may have noticed that some of the CSS properties have a dash WebKit prefix. In Firefox, you may see the dash most prefix. Those are experimental APIs, people still figuring out the right way to do it. When they're finalized and added to the spec, the prefix will be dropped. And you know, some of the others, they did have a prefix before being dropped. How about more cool stuff? How about 2D transforms? With CSS3, 2D transforms are native to the browser. And on this slide, we show you 3 examples: rotate, scale, and skew. But let's see rotate in action. So I'm going to hover over this box, and it will rotate nicely. And we also have a bonus, nice, smooth transition. 2 lines of code, very powerful API. How about animations? Do you guys remember the notorious HTML blink tag? Yeah? OK. Yeah, it was considered the most obnoxious HTML tag ever. And some people even call it simply evil. So can we do better with CSS3? Yeah. OK, you see the code up there. And ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you CSS Pulse. Now, I hope I didn't open Pandora's box, so please don't overuse this effect. Too late. I mentioned earlier the new fonts available from Google and the Web Font API. So before that, it was really difficult to do one thing on the web since the early days on the web. And that was beautiful typography, nice typography on the web. You had to do, you know, image. You had to play with Flash, really headache. Not anymore. On this page, we have an example where we used, I think, 7 fonts from the Google font directory. And if you get our humor, we wrote you a slightly threatening note not to abuse the pulse animation. And we did it like in the ransom notes with newspaper clippings. So that's what you can do with the add font face. And finally, I want to mention the flexible box model, another really powerful addition to the CSS3 spec. With the flexible box model, you can do elastic and fluid layouts that adapt to the font size or the browser window size, things you weren't able to do before. So let me show you a very simple demo here. Very nicely, whenever the size changes, your layout will nicely flow around it. So this is exactly what was needed to provide a simple and easy solution to common web design problems. You know, form layout and vertical centering, just two of them. How did we put all these goodies to good use? Arne will show us.
So with Chroma Brush, we definitely used CSS a lot, but we really wanted it to be kind of fairly subtle, even though Mihai really tried to get me to put a blink tag in there, or a pulse tag. I held out. So basically, it's very lightweight. You know, we have a few rounded corners here. On the UI elements, we have some drop shadows on the toolbars, that kind of thing. We rendered the logo, again, using the new font support in HTML5, did a few effects on that, but mostly understated stuff. We really wanted it to be kind of like an elegant desktop application. But what I really think is like the coolest part of the CSS3, kind of the new features that we had available, was the ability to use box model, the flexible box model spec. So you can see here as I'm resizing the browser window, the things that are meant to resize are resizing, and the things that are not are constant. And normally, I've written websites which, you know, calculate the height of the window, they listen to events, there's usually some lag behind that, that kind of thing. Well, all of the layout is done entirely through CSS. There's no JavaScript doing the ratios or proportions of this layout. So the great thing about this is that the browser's own rendering engine decides what goes where. We just kind of tell it how we want things to look, which is kind of the point of CSS in the first place. So you can see that even the toolbar on the bottom, if I make it too narrow, will automatically reflow to fit all the icons that we have in there. And the only reason it does that is because those icons are inline elements like they're supposed to be. So basically, the browser does it all for us. We don't have to do any complex calculations. We still get all the advantage of, you know, HTML and, you know, get to do some pretty cool stuff with CSS. So I'll just bring it back to the presentation.